Okay, so I ran the numbers, and all right, so we started at 221, and we hit 189. We understand an engagement happened recently, so
Oh yeah.
went up like a couple of pounds, but you're weighing out. Okay, so anyways, you lost 16% body fat in a pretty short period of time. Since you started like seriously undertaking it again, how long do you think that was?
Probably July. So
We're looking like 5 months, 6 months.
yeah.
Yeah, 4. Yeah. Okay, so we'll say 5 months.
5
Yeah, so 16% in 5 months is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I just wanted you to expand more on, because different things work with different people. I came up with my meal plan because I've definitely found that has been the most successful thing, I think, for the most amount of people. I used to do it where I actually used to have people eat like a really strict diet. That was like my first thing. I called it being a whole foodtarian, where I would have them just eat fruits, vegetables, and meat. That was like my version of the keto diet, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
But then I, realized that portion sizes really are the most important things. That's where my dad came up. But even still, you can have my meal plan, and I think for some people, like, they just need a little bit more. And for you, I think a big thing that you got clued into was that you needed something that would give you just a little bit more flexibility, right? Where, because you do have a really active social life where you'll be eating out more. And so counting calories with the meal plan, it sounds like was the solution. Can you just expand more on that? Like,
Sure.
how you go, how you lived that out?
Yeah. So I think when we first started up, you would give me the meal plan, and I used the meal plan pretty strictly initially to get myself started. My biggest thing was the mental aspect of, because I had never been as big as I had been, so I was like 221, like you said, and it was a struggle for me to even just kind of picture in my head how to get from 221 back to like even where I am now, like 190. And so I had used the meal plan initially, kind of somewhat strictly, to get me just a little bit of progress, like even 3 pounds. Like I remember seeing going from like 221 down to like at some point I was down to 215. I was like, okay, we're starting a snowball effect here. At some point around probably like 209, 210, I was feeling a little bit more comfortable. I had obviously done some reading previously about like calorie deficits and things like that. And I kind of like subscribed to that idea, and you would discuss it too, just like keep your calories low, make sure you're in a deficit and you'll be losing the weight. And so my focus shifted on, okay, I have to, I have a job now that I have to go to New York 3 days a week, and I obviously, I go out with friends, with Sophia, so I was like, okay, how can I keep my calorie deficit, but also include a little bit of flexibility for, let's say I wake up late, I can't prepare my meal in the morning like I wanted to. How can I fix this? So I started using the app Lose It to count some calories, and I had tried it in the past, but it wasn't working in the past. I think what changed this time was I wasn't using calorie counting as my main source of losing weight. It was more of a crutch. My main source of losing weight was obviously our sessions, working out on my own, and also the big part of it was the diet, because I had gotten into such a bad diet before. The diet that you had given me helped me kind of clean that up and get me back on track. And so using the diet as my number one source, and then the calorie counting as like a backup, really seemed to work for me. So I would, like on a regular Tuesday or whatever, I would do turkey burgers, I would make some cucumbers, maybe add some yogurt and some bananas for breakfast. Those are easy to put in my calorie counter, and I would automatically weigh it out because we had discussed. So, side note, weighing things out also was a new thing.
That's
for me.
huge.
That was pretty big. Yeah, because that also helps you keep very accurate calorie.
Yeah, that's the only way you can calculate. That's the funny thing when people I was in clients that look at calories and they're like, well, I had a cheeseburger, and I'm like, and so they just put in this like one cheeseburger, and they like found the one, because if you just put cheeseburger into Lose It or MyFitnessPal, like 50 things are going to return, ranging all the way from a cheeseburger that says it's 250 calories, all the way to one that says it's 1,000 calories. Which one did you choose, right? And so it's like, this isn't really accurate. If you're just going to search the name of whatever food you ate and then just choose whichever one suits you, obviously you're going to go with the lowest calorie one, right?
Yeah.
That's not going to really work. The only way counting calories works is if you do it in conjunction with actually weighing out your food.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I guess you're saying like the meal plan kind of worked with accurately for once counting calories.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so I think what that did was, like, the meal plan was my main source of trying to lose the weight. But what it did with adding the calorie counting was also get me in the habit of looking at what I'm eating every day.
Yeah.
So, you know, I got pretty good at doing the meal plan, but on a random Thursday where, like I said, I would wake up because I had to wake up early. So, like, let's say I wake up at 6 a.m. and I need to get to the train by 7 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to make my food in time. Like,
Yeah.
I need to leave within 15 minutes. So the calorie counting got me into a habit, but also helped me learn, like, how many calories usually things are. So, like you said, if I ate a cheeseburger on the road because I just didn't have time to make my food, in my mind I'm thinking, okay, this isn't something I normally do. I'm going to have to account for what I don't know is in this cheeseburger. We had discussed in the past, fast food places will put a ton of oil and stuff.
Yeah.
You don't know how much they're putting in, so that by itself could be 500 calories. So
Yeah.
I usually added 200 to 300 calories on whatever I was eating just to be safe.
Yeah.
So, like, if a cheeseburger came up and it was 500 calories on the app, I would just put it at like 1.5.
Yeah.
I would put like, okay, this is probably 800 calories if we're being honest.
Yeah.
And then I would adjust the rest of my eating throughout the rest of the day based off of that fact. So I think that's what calorie counting really helped me do.
Nice.
Was just adjust for the rest of the day for that one meal that I unfortunately just had to go out of my way and get. Or let's say I was out with friends and I just, I got something with them. It just helped me adjust.
Yeah.
And it also, it gives you, like, the nice thing about the Lose It app is it gives you a full week overview of what you've eaten. So it'll count, like, by the end of the week, it'll say you're 2,000 calories underneath. Like, if I told them I wanted to lose however many pounds or get to 180 pounds by the end of December, it would calculate for you how under your calorie goal you need to be to do that.
Yeah.
So, like, the weekend overview will be you're 2,000 calories under your amount, right? So 2,000 calories per day. Let's say I'm under 200 per 200 per week, so I eat 1,600 per day.
Yeah.
I'm like 1,000 to 1,500 calories under my goal every week. So that was cool to see too, because you could kind of see, okay, if I'm 2,000 calories under for the week, that means I've lost 2 pounds. Like, I could start to correlate how many pounds I'm going to lose too.
Yeah.
By the end of the week as well, looking at that data. So yeah, but I mean, the biggest thing really is the meal plan. I did really in the beginning. I stuck to the meal plan pretty heavily. I was never a big breakfast guy, but I started eating breakfast. That was a big help because then by the time lunch rolled around, I wasn't as hungry and I didn't go out and get Chipotle.
That was one of the things we talked to. Because in the beginning, you weren't eating breakfast. You were like, I just want to have 2 meals. But yeah, you were just like way too ravenous when lunch came around, and that would lead to. And when you're ravenous, your body wants quick fix foods, right? And one of the quick fix foods, they're the unhealthiest ones. They're the most calorically dense. They're the most mentally stimulating, but they're also the ones you're most likely to binge on and just throw the whole meal plan out the door,
100%.
right?
100%.
Yeah, and I like what you're saying about what counting calories allowed you to do is to adjust on the fly and not lose sight of the game plan, right? I think when people are doing really strict diets, let's say, for example, that one that I laid out to you that I used to give to my clients before, or if they are, I don't know, let's say even doing my meal plan and they just like mess up a little bit, right? You think, I broke my streak, right? I had done it, 10 days where I broke my streak and now I'm just gonna like go off the reservation. You would like see, okay, this day is kind of an anomaly. I'm doing things that I wouldn't normally do. I have an engagement party, I have this and that, right? And how can I figure out what I'm consuming and how I can fit it in with the meal plan, right? So that this day isn't a wash, so that I can still make some progress this day, or at least this day isn't a complete detriment to the gains that I've been trying to make, right? Which it was before.
Right.
Like people gotta have that mentality of what I call having a penny saved is a penny earned attitude, right? And that's what you had, whereas before, like, that's just not in people's minds.
Yeah, I think a lot of times with this stuff, especially weight loss, I think knowledge is power. And I think, all the things that all the people tell you about, like weighing your food, counting your calories, and like in a vacuum, when you hear that so many times, you're like, oh, that's just so ridiculous. I just need to work out really hard and I just need to eat a lot less. But to a certain extent, like, you don't know how much less you have to eat. Or you don't even know what you're eating. unless you kind of put a little bit of quantitative, numbers to it.
Yes.
Kind of quantify it, because then you really start to figure out patterns, and you really start to figure out what works for you, what doesn't. Like, I was surprised to find out that even if I ate like 2,000 calories, it would depend. Like, if it was a heavy workout week, like where I actually worked out really hard, 2,000 calories. If I ate 2,000 calories a day, usually maybe I'd either maintain or I'd lose a pound.
Yeah.
But I was surprised about how under my calorie goal I really needed to be, even with working out, to lose, like, if you want to be like, I mean, some people, they want to just do a pound a week.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to do like 2 pounds, 3 pounds a week, how under your calorie goal you really have to be for that is actually a lot more than you would think.
Yeah. You were having to eat like 1,300 calories a day or something like that.
Yeah, there were definitely weeks, and then, like, listen, like, traveling to New York and stuff helps, because by the time you get home, you don't really feel like eating at all or doing much. So, I would say that you kind of realize, like, if I'm eating 1,300 calories a day, then I'm going to lose like 2.5 pounds per week.
Yeah.
But if I eat 2,000 calories per day, which is like, the normal amount you're supposed to eat, whatever the experts say, like, you're either going to maintain, you're not really going to lose much weight at all, which I always thought was surprising. I always thought if you ate like 2,000 calories, you were still very under your calorie deficit. You really created a big calorie deficit, but that's not the case. And so that's why I think in those instances, it's good to quantify what's going on in your body, because everybody's body is different too. Like, some 2,000 calories for somebody might be way underneath their deficit.
Yeah.
And they may lose 3 pounds a week.
Yeah.
With 2,000 calorie deficit. That was not going to happen for me.
Yeah.
A regular guy. So I was, and I was working out hard with you. And for the most part, other than our workouts, I was doing more like a lot of walks, like long 6, 7 mile walks.
That's great.
So it helps. Just quantifying things helps you kind of figure out where to be.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it gives you a benchmark that you actually hold yourself accountable to, right? Like, I'm going to vaguely eat less. Isn't anything right there that doesn't mean much to us. And I think one of the reasons why that, like, because I call it like our addict mind, right? That devil on our shoulder tries to convince you out of quantifying things, whether it's counting calories, weighing your food and whatnot, and says, oh, this is gonna work, or this is too far, is because it knows that is the thing that you're gonna have to. That's actually what's gonna push you to excel, And it's like you are gonna come across some crossroads where, like, you've hit your caloric goal for the day, or you've eaten all the food on the meal plan, and you're still gonna want something, right? And when you're actually tracking things, you're faced with the prospect that I just can't have that, right? That's not what your brain wants, right? Your addict brain wants is some excuse, right? Just I'll throw all this junk information I had out the door so that I can just engage in the behavior that I want. The other thing I like that you said is just like that fast start you got to. So you were really strict in the beginning. I really do emphasize that is important for people, just to like get a win under your belt and see that you can lose weight. Because I think like we can just get so negative after like the scale going in the wrong direction for too long to think that we just can't do it at all. Like my body was just built to be this weight, And I think getting a strong win under your belt like that. The other thing I just want to comment on before I ask you a couple more questions is that Lose It app. It's like MyFitnessPal is always like the gold standard weight loss app, but more and more people to me have been talking to me about Lose It, and I don't know. I think I'm liking a lot of what I'm hearing, so I think that's going to be more the one I recommend.
It's just such a simple app. I mean, it literally just breaks it down from breakfast, lunch, dinner, and you can scan. I mean, I think that's MyFitnessPal. You can do that too, but you can like scan your foods in. Yeah. It puts it right in there, and it's just a simple app, and it with our phones and stuff, it gives you a widget, so it shows on your lock screen or whatever you want to put it, how many calories you've eaten. So it's a really simple app. It's a really good app. And the thing about the fast start is, I think, like when you're at your biggest weight, the thing that I didn't realize that I realize now is when you're at that weight, like you're 221 pounds, you want to get down to 180. Yeah. Like when you're at that weight, there's no time like that time where you're going to lose the most weight. And that's it's such an oxymoronic thing to say, but like that's when you're going to lose the most weight.
Yes, yeah.
Because like you could go from 221 to 215 in almost a week. And it could be the easiest thing, because it may just be you having a little bit of willpower and saying, I'm not going to eat, I'm just going to stick to the meal plan. And if you stick to the meal plan, that first week you could lose 3 pounds, you could lose 4 pounds, and once you see that, then like it's just easy to say, okay, I'll stick to this.
Yeah.
Because then once you get to like 180, like 190, like the thing that I'm struggling with now is I'm maintaining my weight at 190, which I'm happy about. I'm happy to be at 190. Ultimately, I'd love to get to 180, but like it's definitely way harder going from 190 to 180 than it was going from 220 to 220 to 210.
Yeah.
You know,
For sure.
And I think that's the thing that gives everybody, I think it should give everybody hope, is that like that beginning part.
Yeah.
While it's really hard to get started, once you get started, you're good.
It's actually the easiest part.
You'll do it.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
can do it. Yeah, once you get started, you just do 1 week on the meal plan. You got it.
Yeah.
You'll see it. It'll snowball, and you'll be like, okay, now I can do this.
Yeah, and having that momentum is just so crucial, you know, because that really can carry you through the more difficult phases, because you know, I can do this, I can lose weight. It might become harder. The hunger cues are going to pick up as you get leaner and leaner, but you know you're capable of it. Are there any other tips? So your go-to meals, I like to ask you about this. So you like the bananas was like your go-to fruit with your yogurt, okay?
Yeah.
You really liked patties. That's a unique thing. I think people heard of for.
Yeah, I get made fun of at work because they're always like, "What patties do you have today?" Because I had like turkey patties, beef patties, and even salmon patties.
Salmon patties, yeah.
Because they're easy. My big thing that I'm a big proponent of is air fryers.
Yeah.
Easy.
You know, I love air
throw
fryers.
your stuff in, especially if you want to do patties.
Yeah.
You throw 2 patties in, you're done in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
They're ready to go. I got really into, like, after I started losing some weight, I got into making some rice because rice is easy.
Mm-hmm.
So like just do like 1/4 cup of rice and then some salmon, and you got like a nice little meal there.
Okay, nice.
So yeah, I was a big patty guy. Air fryer, Premier protein shakes. Like people who have a big sweet tooth like me.
Yeah.
There's I think they're 11-ounce Premier protein shakes. They have 30 grams of protein, like 1 gram of sugar, and it's 160 calories.
Nice.
And because there's so much protein in it, it kind of satiates you pretty well. Makes you feel like you're kind of full. And they taste good. Like the strawberry one tastes great, and it helps you.
It tastes sugary. It tastes so you're kind of scratching that itch.
Right. It maintains that sweet tooth that you may have. That helped me a ton.
Without it being like a pint of ice cream in front of you, which you can do a ton of damage with, right?
Exactly. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, that's why I was like, whatever thing you're craving, like try to find a way that you can replicate it, right? It's in a healthy way. So for me, it's like if I'm craving like candy, like gummies, things like that, I'm gonna try to have some berries, you know, some fruit with that, you know, and it's amazing. Like you just are not craving getting a bag of gummies anymore. Chocolate for me, you know, I love chocolate, but it'll be like the darkest chocolate. Like I get 90% cacao chocolate, so it's so bitter that I really can have like 3 or 4 squares and be fine. You know what I mean? I'm not craving more. If I have a bar of milk chocolate, forget it. Like I'm gonna eat the whole thing. It's just it tastes too good. Yeah. But you know, having that like 90% cacao, it's like wow, I'm really not craving chocolate anymore. So it sounds like you found that with this protein shake. So I just love all these things. Like that's the type of like building flexibility and that's helped you stick with this thing for the long run. You know. Yeah.
The only other thing I'll say is I think the other thing that helped me is I can be a little bit competitive. So like making a competition against yourself. Like I was obsessed. I mean, I was obsessed with Wawa. I was obsessed with Chipotle. I was going there, and Chick-fil-A. I was going to those 3 places at least 5 times a week.
Wow.
I think.
Yeah.
And I started to make it a competition with myself, and I haven't been to Wawa since July.
It's amazing.
Chick-fil-A had been maybe 3 times since July, and then Chipotle I've only been like twice since July.
Yeah.
So like keeping in a competition with yourself, I mean like how much can I stop myself from going?
Yeah.
It's like you have that craving, but on the other side of that, the part of it that's now fighting you is I have the craving to go, but now I haven't been there in so long. I want to keep that streak going.
Yeah.
That competitive spirit makes you say, all right, I want to keep that streak going. I'm not going.
Yeah.
So that helped me too a little bit.
That's awesome, man. That's a great mental tip, and I don't think anybody's shared that one before. Do you have any other like little mental tips and tricks? Any before we sign off, just general guidance that your encouragement you want to give to people?
Yeah, I think like just play to your own strengths. I think, like I said, like I'm can be a little bit competitive with myself, so like use that streak thing to pump out the cravings. I know I have a sweet tooth, so just trying to find things that can supplement my sweet tooth. Like it used to be Kit Kat bars and cookies and all these things. Like those Premier protein shakes were a godsend.
Yeah.
That was great. And I think also, bananas for me are more of a sweeter
Yeah.
fruit. So like I stuck to bananas in a big way, like
Right.
fine foods and stuff that you can stick to.
Yeah.
Bananas and yogurt I thought were great. That
Yeah.
helped me kind of satiate the sweet tooth a bit. And
And real quick, sorry, this actually was one question I want to ask you. With when you were going out to eat with friends and whatnot, counting calories. So is it the same trip where you just try? Were you try? If you guys were at a steakhouse together, would you look up like a similar steakhouse, like Outback Steakhouse, and like if you got a ribeye steak there, just use theirs ribeye steak for there, or how are you doing it when you were eating out to keep track of calories?
oh yeah, I would usually look it up. So it depends.
Would you go to the company's website, like the
Yeah.
restaurants? Okay.
I would oftentimes, like, if there's something where it's like they don't give you the calories, I would look up, how many calories is a Outback Steakhouse Steakhouse ribeye.
Yeah.
Sometimes Reddit has an answer for you. Sometimes some of these websites have an answer for you. My biggest thing was honestly just gauging it. So
Yeah.
like, I do think at a certain point you can kind of tell based on how bloated you feel.
Yeah.
You can kind of tell how much oil was probably on that thing.
Wow.
So
wow.
I usually assumed that if I was going out to eat, that was at least 1,000 calories.
Yeah.
Like
That's
it's
very good.
I think you have to assume, and you have to know that. Like if I know
With the
30
portion
minutes-
size they give you, the amount of oil they cook with.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. Like if I
Yeah.
knew in the morning I'm going out with Sophia, I'm going out with some friends to wherever we're going to go out to, I knew that my meal at lunch had to be very small because most likely this was going to be at least 1,000 to 1,200 calories, if not more.
Yeah.
And that was like basically my entire calorie count for the whole week, for the whole day.
Yeah.
So I just estimated, if you don't know, you have to go on the higher side. And so I would just go on 1,000 to 1,500 calories for those things that I didn't know.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right, that's a lot of good tips, man. Well, thank you so much for doing this. I'm just elated with how well you've done.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, thank you.
It's
Your
a
guidance
good
has
thing.
been helpful. It's been great.
Well, glory to Jesus Christ, man. That's
Yeah,
all I can say.
100%. Thank you.